This is the Renegade teacher coming back at you yet again with another transmission on our quest for rationality in public education. And tonight is the second part of a what is going to be a 5-part series, the deep dive series into the article on edweek.org by Madeline Will called The Socially Distanced School Day. And tonight the subject, part 2 here, is about schedules. And this one is going to be a good one, folks. I want to brace you for some upcoming episodes. We're going to be looking at several other topics here, including building layout and transportation. Again, this is all regarding the rush, this train wreck that is the rush back into the schools. One of the deep dive episodes actually is going to take a bit of a diversion. I'll explain it when we get there. But for tonight, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I have opened up the deep dive section in the schedules portion of the article that we are breaking down. And this section, this deep dive, again, this is by Madeline Will, is titled 6 Ways to Bring Students and Staff Back to Schools. And what we have here, folks, is basically a brief description and the pros and cons of, it looks like a total of 6 different approaches, possibilities, ways that we could see this attempted in schools across the country. But again, I want to brace you for and kind of explain myself a bit. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to the show, listening, I want to thank you for being here. I want to encourage you to support the channel, like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. But I would also like to invite you to listen back on the channel to some of my earlier shows. I think they will give you more of a context of who I am, what I'm all about, and why this is all so important for me personally, and it will give you some context that will perhaps explain why I am the way I am. And I know I'm not perfect. I'll be the first one to admit it. I make mistakes, and not everything I say is going to be correct. However, I'm as genuine as I can be, and I want to thank you for the support. Again, being here, listening to this means a lot. So the first thing here in the 6 ways, the first way is called a phased reopening, and it says here how it works. Schools bring back only some students at first to avoid crowding buildings and make it easier to adhere to social distancing. For instance, schools could welcome back only 1 or 2 grade levels, while students in other grades continue to learn remotely. As conditions with the virus improve, schools could gradually welcome more students until they reach full capacity. While that is a leap, in my opinion, the idea of staggering grades and thinking about families with students in different grade levels and such, I just don't know. It says here another version: school buildings initially open 1 day a week, with students continuing to learn remotely the other 4 days. Students would be divided into groups, either alphabetically or based on grade level, and be assigned to come on a specific day. The number of days a week students are physically in school could gradually increase as the risk to health decrease in local communities. I don't know if I'll go through all the pros and cons in each of these. I think I'll leave that to you to go in and look up those if you wish. But I'm going to give my opinion on these. I don't like the phased reopening. And as we go through this, I have a sneaky feeling that we're going to see a pattern of a lot of the lines blending between these and this not being very convincing. So I'll move on to the next one. The next one is called the multi-track system. For how it works, it says schools operate on a track schedule with groups of students in school buildings on different days and engaging in remote learning when they are at home. For example, one cohort of students comes to school on Mondays and Wednesdays. Another cohort comes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and everybody stays home on Fridays. So this is I don't know I don't know where to quite how to react to this. I have thoughts coming into my head. I'm thinking about some comments that were left on other videos regarding this topic, and I don't see how any of the remote learning that is so often referenced. It sounds so good, but in practice, it is an absolute train wreck of a situation. This is not going to work. I sound like a broken record. I apologize. But if you're on the same page as me, there's only so many ways you could say it. This is not practical, not realistic, and simply fairy tale thinking to think that any of this remote learning is going to be in any way consistent, scientific, evidence-based, data-driven, or any of these other ways you want to try to judge or check the validity of a certain type of instruction. It says here another version of the multi-track system. Schools divide students into A, B, and C groups and have students take classes in person every third day. In this model, special education students, English language learners, and other vulnerable children like homeless students attend classes in person every day. We went into this in another video. It's one of the reasons why I'm going to take a slight detour in the series here soon and take you into something to fill the place of. I actually covered one of the deep dive inadvertently in another episode, the one I believe called What to Expect or something like that for the return to school during a pandemic. And we talked about this topic in there. We talked about how some of these students who are either at risk, most at risk, or quote-unquote disabled, the students who are, in a lot of cases, in all reality, facing adversities, facing disadvantages, and this policy just ensures that they're going to be exposed even more to the threat. It's disgusting. I cannot take it. And this also is interesting that it breaks it into A, B, and C groups here, because we've already talked about it. We're not going to be able to split the student body into two groups, because according to CDC guidance, there's too much of a excuse me. There's too much of a reduction when you socially distance classrooms the correct way. There's such a drastic reduction in capacity. I don't care how many gymnasiums or auditoriums or school lawns you use to try to teach classes, that you're not going to achieve a 50-50 split, and there not be disastrous consequences. It's just not. None of this is realistic. I can't believe that that I am actually covering this and this is all real and written out, and I'm actually having to go through it. I'll move on here to the third one. Again, there are 6 of these in total. We're looking at the different ways that schools could attempt to reopen this fall, going into this knowing that none of them are going to work, because those of us that are listening, we all have enough brain cells functioning to know that we cannot go back to school in the fall. It's just not going to work. The third one is called staggered schedules, which is odd because it seems like that's what the other 2 were about as well. Obviously, there's going to be some. All of this is a little bit of just complete BS. These are options. They are Just thrown together ideas. These are hypotheses. But it says here how it works, staggered schedules. Half the students come to school in the morning while the other half comes in the afternoon. Schools divide the students based on grade levels or alphabetically in order to keep siblings on the same schedule. Can you imagine? Can you imagine these people that are already just at their wits' end trying to get school schedules to work pre-pandemic? Can you imagine these poor souls trying to get this to work? I just cannot accept this, folks. I cannot. This series is going to have the common theme that we are going to see the largest walkout of public servants in the history of the country. Between taking all things considered, between law enforcement and public educators and the support staff in school buildings, all of these people, all of these underpaid people, these public servants, we're going to have a massive walkout countrywide, largest one in history. It is going to cripple the education system even more. This is again my prediction, but take it or leave it. Again, I'm just being trying to be genuine and realistic and embrace people for what is coming. But I'll move on here to perhaps my favorite one. The title of it is called The Bubble Strategy. How it works, it says the same group of students stay together for all or most of the day with the same teacher or teachers. Students remain in a single classroom all day, even for lunch, if needed. It says here, if needed, different teachers rotate into the classroom while students stay put. Younger students might forgo electives like art or physical education, or those teachers provide a lesson to the homeroom teacher. Students might also take those elective classes online at home. Folks, the bubble strategy is officially the recipe for just violence in the classrooms. If you try to put these people, these students and these teachers in the same room all day, we are going to have the worst possible outcome of all of the ones that we have talked about so far. I honestly, again, I'm not perfect, I'm not pretending to be, but this show is about my take on it. As a Renegade teacher, I am on a mission to try to talk some sense into the world. I see so much nonsense, I see so much pseudoscience in education. I just cannot take it. This bubble strategy is disgusting, it makes me sick. Again, I've said this on previous shows, but I'll say it again. We need to accept the fact that we are not going to school in the fall. It's just simply not going to be sustainable. There may be an attempt to return to school, but it is not going to be a sustainable endeavor. It has a graphic here between the sections called Limiting Exposure and Transmission. It says students stay in the same small group. Again, this is basically the same thing. I won't read this to you. Look it up if you want to see the diagram. For the fifth, again, there are 6 of these total. The fifth one is called the fifth possibility for how we could see this complete disaster unfold, trying to open schools during a pandemic. The fifth possibility is called cyclical lockdown strategy. Just the name sounds terrifying. It says how it works. School buildings regularly alternate between being opened and closed, with students staying home for a minimum of 10 days during closure periods. Students attend school 1 full week, followed by 2 weeks of remote learning. There it is again, at home. It says another version, students come to school Monday through Thursday and then learn from home on Friday. That sounds very similar to something we heard earlier. Oh, and it says here, and all the days on the following week. So a week off after the Monday through Thursday. This is insanity. I do not see the point. Basically, we're going to be getting students together just in time for someone who's been incubating the virus from the last time they were exposed. Those 10 days or more will give them time to incubate the virus for it to become, in some cases, not all probably, but highly infectious. And then those students would be returning, some of them asymptomatic, back into the schools, and the brutal cycle will continue. I do not like that one at all. And the last one, last but not least, and perhaps the most shocking, the one that would, I believe, just based on the name of it, will get the most resistance, is called year-round schedule. Can't wait for this. How it works: the school divides students into groups. One cohort attends school for a set period, roughly 9 weeks, while the other cohorts participate in, guess what, folks? Remote learning. The groups would rotate at the end of each period. Breaks from schooling would be more frequent but shorter than the traditional 10-week summer vacation. This is not going to work. There's not going to be public support for it. I've said this already. We're going to see a huge amount of parents, a record number of parents. You're hearing the voice of one who will personally be homeschooling. The system has invoked has gained no respect from me. And if it's gained respect from you, if you're impressed by what you've seen from the public education system over the last 10 years, if you're impressed by what you think that they're all capable of pulling off during this circus show of a joke, go for it. But I don't want to hear it when people that we love and are affected by their passing and their suffering. I just honestly, I'm fed up with it, folks. I've had enough. I cannot take it. I'm going to have to reel this one in for the night. But this has been the deep dive on schedules and the possible different ways that people are going to try to open schools. I assume what we're going to see is going to be a hodgepodge of different states trying to do different things, and within those states there are going to be different nuanced approaches to different variations of different versions of even more variations of these 6 different models that we've looked at here tonight. And it is going to be an absolute disaster. I cannot believe that this is real. I wish I could be talking about the discipline mandate on teachers like the channel was founded on all these other less doom and gloom scenarios, things that I did not predicate this channel on talking about the complete collapse of public education. I founded it on the idea of trying to expose some of the truths of the problems that teachers face, and give people a perspective or perhaps a voice to express the absolute unbelievability that is the profession of being a teacher, and all of the bullshit that we face. That's where I'm coming from. So I hate to be so apocalyptic in my predictions, but I honestly am predicting the apocalypse of education. Society is in a downward spiral in terms of just social unrest, and people are just at their wits' end. But again, we're here for the long haul. We're here to fight for public education. So again, support the channel, like the video, share it, and subscribe. And I will catch you in the next one. Next one will be about we started with safety, and then tonight was schedules, and then the next one we'll be looking at the building layouts, and the different CDC guidance recommendations for how to lay out a school during a pandemic. This is going to be a good one. It will be coming to you on Sunday. I will catch you in the next one. This is Renegade Teacher signing off.